Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? Matt Jarbo here with Real Board, part of the Hollywood After Dark brand. I want to talk to you guys today about something that boggled my mind and hurt my brain. And that, of course, is Grace Randolph's take on the Suicide Squad. She put out a new video today all about the spoilers, breaking down the movie, what she liked, what she didn't like. And, there were things in there that I agreed with. There were things in there that I understood her perspective on. And then there were a lot of other things that just made me want to bang my head against the wall. I wasted almost 30 minutes on this spoiler review for just to walk away and go, you know what? She doesn't get it. Grace Randolph just does not fundamentally understand that movie. And here's the thing. She's got it out for James Gunn. Let's just make that abundantly clear right off the bat. She has it out for James Gunn. What I mean by that is 3 years ago, when James Gunn's tweets came out and it caused that quick firing from Disney, and he got picked up by Warner Brothers, and then we found out that Disney was bringing him back. I remember Grace saying something to the extent of Disney no longer has the moral high ground. And she was basically saying that the magic was gone with the company, that the magic with Disney was gone, that the magic with Disney would never return, that these tweets are so abhorrent, they're so terrible, they're so god-awful, that there's no way that they can ever reclaim any of the magic that they once had. This is fucking Disney, by the way. This is Disney. Do you ever think they're anything else other than a soulless corporation? Let's be abundantly clear about what it is that Disney is and Disney does. They don't strive to be this kind of moral authority in the world. They don't really try to make the world a better place in regards to philanthropy and anything like that. They are a business. They have shareholders. They have a lot of money at stake, and they are in it for their best interest. This is how business works. So yeah, James Gunn came back, and guess what? He's going to go do Guardians 3, and guess what? Grace is going to talk about it, and Grace is going to critique it, and she's going to talk about the trailer and rank the characters and everything that she normally does, all while absolutely never just ignoring the fact that she basically called the company immoral, but still chooses to, profit off of the type of stuff that they make, because that's also her job, and that is her thing, and that is really where it's at. But when it comes to James Gunn's Suicide Squad, there are a couple things that I just really found kind of interesting and dumb about her review. Predominantly, the way that she got really upset at the gore factor. Does she not know who the hell James Gunn is? Has she not ever seen any of the work that he did for Trauma when he was writing those Trauma films? Do you know what Trauma movies are? Go look them up. I believe his first one was Tromeo and Juliet. Trauma is exploitation to the max. The Toxic Avenger, Kabuki Man NYPD. There are so many different franchises that have come out of Trauma over the years, and it is a very loved and lauded brand within the horror genre. And this is where James Gunn got his start. That transitioned over into not only Scooby-Doo, which he wrote as more of an adult film than a kid's film, because there's so many things that made it into the background of that clearly went over kids' heads, but the adults picked up on it. Then he did Dawn of the Dead, complete with, a zombie baby. That was a little bit disturbing, but he wrote that thing. Have you not seen Slither? Have you not seen Super? What exactly were you expecting, Grace, going into this movie? They marketed it as literally from the horribly twisted mind of James Gunn. Never mind the fact that 3 years ago, the horribly twisted mind of James Gunn is what ultimately got him fired, and now you're using it as a marketing technique on this film. And you don't get it. And you are a movie critic who apparently has vast knowledge of movies and comic book movies, and I know you have it. I know you have it with Marvel, but you're out there questioning the motives of these characters, these bad guys who are sent in ultimately to die, to try to do something. It's one of those really weird things where it's you overlook the origin, you overlook the impetus, you overlook how things are meant, how things originated and the context of which they are presented. It goes to show me that there was very little attention paid to the subtext and context of this film. When you are a critic, your job is to look at the kind of art that the filmmaker is putting out there and to determine whether or not, and to explain whether or not they were able to do it. And I know you made that attempt, but the problem though is you lacked the cohesive follow through and the cohesive opinion to make it all kind of work. When you were talking about the scene, and by the way, going on from here on out, there will be spoilers. So just as an FYI, there will be spoilers. When they talk about the scene where Bloodsport and Peacemaker go into the village and they start killing everybody, you're like, nobody was fighting back. They were in their sleep. Exactly. Everyone was silent. They went in there like assassins because that's what they are. They are assassins. Bloodsport even says, I'm an assassin. Peacemaker knows how to go in quiet too. And they were killing everyone and we didn't know that these guys were not the bad guys because we hadn't been introduced necessarily to the bad guys yet at this point. And they killed everybody and they killed them. And yes, it was a show off move. It was very much over the top. That's the whole point. And then you find out, oh shit, they were the good guys. And yes, it was played for a laugh. And yeah, the point that Grace was making about it being a commentary on how the military industrial complex treats these people in these countries that we invade or that we have, operations in is a very astute one. But guess what though? This is where you'd want to follow it up with a further opinion and an example to better exemplify your point. But no, she just moves on to the next thing because she might be able to make the commentary and kind of pinpoint something, but there's an absolute failure in trying to properly explain what her thought is. But when she talks about Harley Quinn, oh my God. So here's the Harley Quinn situation, because right now Grace is going off on Twitter. She's going off on Twitter. She's trying to make the claim like that the Steve Trevor Wonder Woman 84 rape scene was somehow the same as this, which is not by any stretch of the imagination. If you would have watched Wonder Woman 84, and by the way, I feel bad for you if you did, Steve Trevor takes over some random dude's body, and without that random dude's consent, Diana and Steve make brown chicken brown cow, and then that's it. That's it. That's it. I mean, later on in the movie, she meets the guy. At the very end of the movie, she meets the guy that she had her way with, and the guy's got no recollection and no knowledge of what happened. And yet, it's played up for a laugh. All right, it's played up for a bit of a laugh about the way that he dresses. That's the joke at the end of that movie. That is something worth having a valid discussion on, because at that point, we're talking about consent. In this situation, Harley Quinn is captured. She is taken to the new president. The president is basically like, hey, listen, I know who you are. The people here know who you are. You're famous here for your anti-oppression views. I'm paraphrasing. He then woos her by showing her the glamorous life of what could be by being with him. And at the end of it, he's like, listen, I need to win over the dissidents. I need to win over the civilians. I need to win over these people that do not like the new regime, because we literally hung all 5 members of the previous regime in the middle of the fucking street. I need to win these people over because we need to make sure that there's a peaceful transition of power. They love you. If you marry me, that's going to work in my favor. And at that point, Harley, and if you have watched Suicide Squad or Birds of Prey, you would know that Harley's character is always trying to seek acceptance for who she is. She felt abused and mistreated by Joker because he saw her as a plaything. In Birds of Prey, that was a large part of her character, was trying to find out her identity, discover who she is. She wanted to be seen. And here comes this El Presidente, and he sees her for who she is. He knows exactly what she is, and he wants to use her as propaganda in order to solidify his position of power within the country. And then in that moment, she says yes, and they have sex. That's not rape. That's not sexual assault. It is legitimate consent. And then after that, while they're talking, he then opens up and explains his plan. And then he says, yeah, I mean, I'm going to use this Project Starfish to take control, to make sure that we are a player in the world. And I don't care who I have to kill to get there. I don't care who I have to kill, be it children or whatever, to get there. And so she kills him. Because if you go back to Suicide Squad, there's that shot of the Joker laying above, around all of those knives and all those weapons. And in the top corner, there was an image, there was baby jumpers. And there was even a thing in Suicide Squad with her wanting a baby with Joker. So she clearly actually cares about kids, and that is a line too far. And then the line that comes after that, the discussion after that, is literally all about her bad taste in men. It is a revelatory moment for Harley Quinn. It is one that very much opens up her character, allows her to have introspection and to look and see exactly what's wrong with her life and how she is a major factor in her decision-making, her bad decision-making, which she acknowledges in that. And then she, but she talks it up as a guy's bleeding out. And guys, yeah, it's played for effect, but that's of course the point. And then of course she goes off about like the killing of like the civilians and the gore. And it's like a gigantic intergalactic fucking starfish, which shoots little baby starfish sperm that has a hive mind, is taking over people. And then she's talking about like, oh, the torture stuff is a problem. She doesn't mention anything about the thinker. Like at one point, the starfish, right? The Starro's little hive mind says he had his way with us, implying rape, implying that the thinker for 30 years had been testing on Starro, been experimenting on Starro, and at one point was having sex with the people, probably the women, that Starro had infected. And these were dissidents. These were politicians, their families, journalists, children. We don't know how bad the thinker was, but in that line, that opened up a large amount of bullshit, like craziness. Not one mention of that. But Harley Quinn having a consensual roll in the hay with this guy who, yes, was explaining to her that he wanted her strictly for propaganda. And he wanted her because of her beauty and because of how they viewed her. And she was so caught up in the moment that she agreed to this. That is not the issue. Grace, what the hell are you thinking? What the hell is this review? Look, like I said, I think she's got it out for James Gunn. I was watching her spoiler review, and every time she had one of these hot takes, I noticed she was playing with her hair. As a sign, to me, that's a sign of insecurity, that she's just saying these things. She doesn't know what she's talking about, and she's just saying them. And then now she's on Twitter, of which I'm blocked, by the way, running her mouth over this stuff, and it's just ridiculous. It's literally ridiculous. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Let me know what you think about Grace Randolph. Does she get it? Does she understand it? And is there any other topics you want me to cover here on Real Board, which is more of a ranting channel as a bit of a side piece to my Hollywood After Dark series, which you can check out last night's episode where I had Vito Gasoldi come on. We had a great conversation about Hollywood and all sorts of things. And you can find that over on $3 Theater. And I will talk to you guys all later. Thank you again for watching. Have yourself a great night and peace out.